In the last video we talked about illumination rendering and setting the location and establishing true north. And so now we've done that. The next thing we want to do is check our materials and make sure the reflection of our materials is appropriately. And there's two material settings that you have to do for illumination renderings. One is glass, and then the other is opaque surfaces. So I'm just going to grab my glass curtain wall here just to talk about glass first, and we're going to go into family, so curtain, panels, and glazed, and we're going to go to the material that's being used by that, and of course that's going to bring us to our material browser, and you can see glass here, and we've already I've already set this for both. There's two glasses. This portion of the material browser, just for FYI, is the materials that are already located in your project. Okay, these are project materials. They're already located there. If you've deleted an object that's using that material, you may not be using it, but these are the ones that are in the project. Of course, down here are your material libraries, and these are materials not in your project yet. You have to select it and of course hit the up button to get the material in the project. So I can very quickly see, just by typing in glass, if I've named these things correctly, I can see what glasses I have. Okay, and so I can come in here and set this now to glass, and change the settings of these for illumination rendering. Now let's go into appearance, because this is the only place. These items right here, and identity, physical characteristics, you may see reflectivity in the physical characteristics. None of this is used in illumination rendering. The only thing that is used is the appearance settings. Okay, and you'll see glazing and then tint. Tint will have an effect, but my recommendation is, and Autodesk recommendation is, don't use tint. Just use the color. Okay, and you can set a custom color, and the custom color needs to have an RGB of 50, not 50, 50, 50 exactly, but the same RGB setting is the best for all channels, R, G, and B. And then, so what kind of, let's go in here, we'll go into, this is Autodesk, you can see right here, Sustainability Works here in Autodesk, Rivet Illumination Simulation, Materials and Settings. And I'm going to scroll back up here real quick into Materials, because there's one table here that we need to look at. This table is located in this, and this tells you the transmittance, okay, the T-vis, a visible light, the T-vis setting for different glass, going from 90% transmittance to 10% transmittance. And then here you'll see glazing numbers. So if I assume that I have dual glazing, the glass is 30 millimeters, then if I want, say, a solar heat gain coefficient or a TV of somewhere around 30 to 35, then I'm going to want my setting to be RGB settings to be 59 to 35, somewhere in that range. Okay. Whoops, I'm sorry, dual. Well, I'm going to set it, it says 0 here. Anyway, I'm going to set it to 50 to get approximately a 40-30%. So I'm going to go back now and set this to 50-50-50, okay, and say okay. The same thing with this glazing, because that's the glazing on the windows, and I'm going to set those. Now if you go to render this for appearance, okay, you need to come back and reset these, because you're not going to want the glass to be almost black here. You can see it's almost black. If I click here, you can see that it's almost black, and of course you don't want that, so you'll need to reset your colors. Or you can have another set of materials and just swap the materials out, but that's a lot more difficult than just coming in here and the materials that are already set, just changing them. But just remember to change them back. Okay, so that changes the glass. The next thing I want to be concerned about is the opaque materials, and I'll just look at one opaque material right now, and let's go into, oh, I've got glass up here. Let's delete this, show all my materials, and then let's go to the, I think I have a stainless steel. I used a polished mesh stainless steel for my perforated metal. Okay, so this is a perforated metal, stainless steel, polished, right? And you'll see here, once again, it's going to use the color. Okay, I can go in and set this color. I'm just going to use the color settings for the stainless steel. But what I want you to notice is that it will also use relief patterns, cutouts. So our holes will actually be rendered as holes in the illumination settings. You'll see you can also use tint. In opaque materials, using tint is okay. That will of course affect the color of the reflected light, so you may want that. If we go into here and to opaque materials and look at the opaque settings, you can see this is the reflectivity of the materials. And so if I have the RGB set to 140 by 140 by 140, then I'll get about a 50%. Okay, if I'm using in this case, say for instance of wood, where I'm using a material, let's go back and open up just an image. There's brick. I could use brick, but let's go into the wood panel here. What it's going to do here, you'll see this stain color is set to 1197511. Okay, it's going to use this formula to determine, okay, a generic reflectivity of the materials based on the following formula: 0.212 of red, 0.7152 of G, and 0.072 divided by 255. Okay, and that's going to become the reflectivity of that material. So if you want to find the reflectivity of a material, you can see right here it talks about it, okay, in relationship to an image. So if you use the reflectivity, the color there on the image, then that will determine the reflectivity of that material. Okay, I'm just going to accept this as being all the materials in here as being good settings for rendering. We can go in and let's check carpet here. Not carpet. Let's see, chip, some wallboard. Okay, and you can see it's 228, 228, 228, and if I go and look at those 228, okay, it's right at 90% reflectivity. So it's a highly reflective surface. It's painted white, right? So it's a very high reflective white. Okay, if you, of course, you change the colors, you need to change the RGB settings. Okay, and so that's how you set up the materials. So check your opaque materials, set your glazing materials, and make sure that they're in the ranges of the reflectivity that you're wanting. And just remember that these will affect, okay, the different conditions of that reflectivity. For instance, I guess one thing that people might want to know is reflectivity here. This will affect only the specular settings. Okay, so if you're trying to create a really highly specular surface, let's go back into glass here. Oh, and it doesn't have, oh, there's reflectance right there. So if you want a high reflectance glass, you can crank this up to 80 or 90%, and that would make you a reflective glass, right? So anyway, that's how you set materials.